And also, this is going to be recorded. However, your names and video will not be released, so you all don't have to worry about that. So continuing on, we're going to talk a little bit about SARC services. So either you can say it to me or you can put in the chat. What do you all know about SARC services? Anything? Do you know anything that we offer? Any of the programs that we have? Academic support for students, perfect. Anyone else? Okay, so here are some of the resources that we offer. So we have peer tutoring. That's specifically with the department that I work for. So we have one-on-one tutoring services as well as group tutoring. And those are more catered to STEM subjects. We have supplemental instruction, so that's SI, and that's when SI leaders attend lectures with you for the classes that you do take. And then we have academic coaching and engagement, which is our ACE program. And that's really to help you enhance your time management skills, maybe organizational skills. If you're having a little bit of troubles acclimating to the amount of classwork that you may have, that's the perfect place to go. We have ACE coaches and they're there to help you. And then this semester, we are piloting the online instructional peer coaching. And given the transition to mostly fully remote online learning, that is really going to help you adjust and adapt to that and give you some skills on how to be successful with taking online classes. And then we have academic success workshops, which you all are here, part of that today. So now we're going to go into talking a little bit about goals. So why set goals? And I'm going to talk a little bit about 3 different theories. We have the needs theory, expectancy theory, as well as the attribution theory. So each of us kind of falls more specifically to one of these 3 on why we set goals. And they're mostly based on intrinsic needs. So the needs theory, motivation comes from a desire to satisfy a need. So that success satisfies the need to either view yourself favorably, please your parents, or receive an award. And for example, you get all A's and your parents are proud of you. So that's the needs theory. Then we have the expectancy theory. So this is when motivation comes from the expectation that there will be a reward. So success on exams leads to a good GPA, and a good GPA leads to a good job. Or good job opportunities. And then an example would be you get all A's and your parents give you $20 for each A that you get. And then lastly, we have the attribution theory. So motivation comes from how you interpret past failures and successes. So failures are an opportunity to grow versus failures are due to lack of skill. And an example of this would be you get all A's and attribute it to your ability to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So before I move on, can someone tell me either verbally or in the chat, what theory do you all feel like you fall under? So you can either tell me in the chat or just verbally if you would like. The needs theory? Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. Attribution. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all. So then why set goals? So that's a question that we typically tend to ask ourselves, especially when going to college. You know, what are some goals that you have? Why are we going to set them? So goals give you a path to follow. They help you visualize and plan smaller actions that build to or impact greater ideal. They make you responsible for your actions, successes, or failures, and they can help motivate you. So I'm going to drop a worksheet in the chat box, and there are going to be 2 parts, but they're both attached to the same worksheet. So I want you all to take some time to fill it out. Give me one moment. And I'm able to type on it from my computer, but if you're not able to do so, just pull up a Word document or a piece of paper, and then you'll be able to fill that out from there. So I'm going to give you guys about 3 to 5 minutes to kind of work on that. If you need any clarification, just let me know in the chat. But I want you to all to write what your academic and learning goals are for yourself and for your immediate future. And we're going to have 2 of those. So I'll give you all a couple of minutes. And then whenever you all are done and have written your goals, you can just give me a thumbs up on the Zoom feature, or you can let me know in the chat. Alrighty. I am going to move on, and if you did not complete that, we'll have an opportunity to come back to it with the second part, and then you guys can finish that up a little bit. So typically some common personal goals in general and when you go to college are to make new friends, continue to earn good grades, establish a direction for lives, and then connect to campus. And some goals that are catered specifically to UCF academic goals would be to achieve the President's Honor Roll. So we're going to earn a UCF semester GPA of about a 4.0, complete 12 or more hours, credit hours, including satisfactory or unsatisfactory classes, and did not earn a term grade of incomplete, unsatisfactory, no non-credit or withdraw fail. And then the Dean's List, which would be to earn a minimum UCF GPA of a 3.4, and then no grade less than a C, and that includes the previous qualifications as well, not earning an incomplete, unsatisfactory, no credit withdraw fail. So really quickly, I forgot to ask you all, in the chat, can you tell me what year you all are in your undergraduate program right now? Senior? Congratulations, seniors, freshman, sophomore. Awesome. So we have a nice little mix here. Awesome. All right, so some of you all are just starting college, so this can be fresh for you. You know, maybe you can put that on to achieve the President's Honor Roll, Dean's List. For our seniors, you know, goal setting isn't just catered to the academic environment. It can also be catered to jobs, internships, externships, everything that you kind of do within life, you can apply these skills to as well. So congrats. This is the first step in achieving a goal, which is identifying it, but we need to be smart about it. So if any of you have heard of SMART goals before, can you guys tell me what the acronym or some of the acronyms stand for? Awesome. Specific. Anyone else know anything about SMART goals? Okay, so we will talk about it. So specific, explain the goal in detail. Who, what, where, and why. So if it's my goal to run a half marathon, who's setting the goal? It's going to be me. What, why am I doing this? What is the goal? Running. Where do I want to achieve this at? Do I want to run in Disney, or do I want to travel, or do I want to do a Boston Marathon? You know, it's making the goal more specific and kind of taking out the extraneous details and kind of concatenating it into one. So very good, Heather, yes. And then could someone else understand your goal? So can you explain your goal to someone else in specific detail, and would they be able to be receptive to that? And then measurable. Make sure you quantify the goal. Are you able to track your progress towards the goal? And how will you know if you achieve the goal? I always think that planners or journaling, a calendar, writing everything down. Am I going to run a mile every day for a week and then up it to 2 miles the next week? Or am I going to run, based on the end of the week? So make sure you have a measure of how you would like to keep track of your goal. And then we have attainable. Make sure the goal is achievable, not too easy, but not out of reach. Can you realistically obtain this goal? And do you have the necessary resources? So I do have a background in psychology. Right now I am in higher education as well. So we talked a lot about partializing, and partializing is important within achieving long-term goals and big goals, because you take that and you kind of break it down into smaller chunks that are easier and more attainable over time. So this is a great example of making sure that goal is not too easy, but not out of reach. And you're able to reward yourself more frequently, and you feel more accomplished and satisfied because you are achieving these smaller goals as you move along. So it's important to keep that goal attainable. And then relevant. Make sure your goal is applicable to the present concern. Does this goal align with your long-term goals? So I always say measures of long-term and short-term are always up for personal interpretation. One's long-term goal might be 3 years down the line, or one's long-term goal might be a year. Short-term maybe a week, or it might be a couple months for some people. So just make sure that you find out what that definition means to you. What does short-term mean to you, and what does long-term? And make sure your goals align with each other. And that way you're able to kind of stay on a steady path towards achieving them. And then time bound. Create a timeline and deadline for yourself. How long are you allowing yourself to achieve this goal? With this component, it's really important to be honest with yourself and say, for example, if you need to study for an exam and that's a short-term goal for you because your exam is in a month. Say, are you going to wait a week before the exam to study? Is that your goal? Or are you going to be a little honest with yourself and say, hey, I might need a week and a half beforehand to set aside time? So make sure you create a deadline. Make sure you're honest with yourself about when you feel like you are able to achieve those goals to the best of your ability. And then once I have my goal, how do I achieve it? So on the same worksheet that I gave you, there's going to be a next part and a next section. So for your first goal, I want you all to fill out part A and part B. So motivate and anticipate. So I want you to write possible benefits if the goal is achieved, the costs if it's not achieved, barriers, challenges, and obstacles that you might face, and then potential solutions, support, and resources. And then the part B to that is going to start making those steps and timelines. So you're going to list the tasks that you're going to have to complete to achieve that goal, and then give yourself a timeline and a due date. So I'm going to give you all about 5 minutes to complete that. If you have any questions, just let me know in the chat, or you can just verbally ask me. I am going to give you all about another 5 minutes just so you can fill out the top part too if you didn't get an opportunity to finish that. And for those that just joined, I just put the file into the chat of the worksheet that we are currently working on. So if you did not get access to that before, I put it in again. We have about another 3 minutes.
Excuse me, I have a short question.
Yes.
I have training at 2 p.m. Is it okay when I leave 10 minutes before the workshop is? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so we are going to move on. Can I get a thumbs up from everyone with their cameras on or in the chat if we're good to move on? Awesome, awesome. Okay. So self-defeating behaviors in college. Now, I feel like we all can fall victim to this, being college students with busy schedules. Some of us work, have internships, externships, etc. So sometimes life happens and we do fall to these behaviors, but what we want to try to do is not do that. So hopefully what you learned today, you can kind of apply that to some of the skills if you do find yourself kind of falling among these behaviors. So that would be skipping class, turning in substandard work, do not make up for missed work. A lot of professors will give you opportunities to either resubmit assignments that you miss, even if it's for lesser credit, something is better than nothing. Make up exams, a lot of them have policies where they're understanding, and sometimes they'll allow you to retake it. They'll give you one chance for missing one exam. So whatever that may be, just make sure when you're reading your syllabus, you look at the policy for late work as well, just to see what they do for their specific course. And then do not ask questions when confused. Now, I understand how in the in-person environment, it might be hard to kind of ask a question in the middle of lecture, given that there's a lot of people there. But even online, if you don't want to, necessarily say something while they're teaching or, in front of everyone, write down your question, wherever you're taking notes or in the PowerPoint. And you can either private message them or come back to it at the end, say you have a question for them, reach out to their TAs, email them. They're more than happy to answer and provide feedback if you do ask them questions. So they want to help you to the best of their ability as well. Do not get help from available resources. So for example, utilizing SARC services is a great resource. If you're struggling in a STEM course, we offer group and one-on-one tutoring. There's supplemental instruction. If you feel like you aren't really acclimating well to the online environment, we piloted the new OIPC program. We have ACE coaching. So there are plenty of free resources for all of you guys to kind of help you be successful in the best way possible. And then do not have a fixed schedule. I know especially this one has affected a lot of people in their routine, given the COVID-19 pandemic. That kind of took away from their in-person routine, so we're forced to make a new one. But it's really important that we have some sort of structure, especially when we're trying to achieve a goal, because as we have learned previously that it is a time-bound thing, it's structured, it's measurable. So we have to kind of write that into our schedules, and I recommend either getting a planner or a desk calendar, something that you can kind of write things down and keep track of that. Do not buy textbooks. Textbooks are very important. I know it is expensive, but they are very necessary and useful for your courses, especially if it is a harder course for you. It can kind of explain things maybe in a different way, and maybe that your professor explains it, so you get different perspectives on that. Do not read your textbook or your chapters. That's also very important, is to make sure that you're keeping up with the given lectures and the given assigned readings. Do not plan for exams or papers. That can be an example of setting a goal as well. Goals just aren't whether or not you're going to go for a run or get an A. It's also, am I going to plan for this exam? When am I going to study? When am I going to start writing this paper? Am I going to join a study group? You can set that a goal. I'm going to do SARC tutoring, or I'm going to attend an SI session. And then procrastination. So I wanted to talk a little bit about procrastination as well, because I feel like it often has a negative connotation to it. Often if we think of people as being procrastinators, we can associate it with being lazy or not trying hard enough. But that's absolutely not the case. So given procrastination, typically we do that when we are feeling overwhelmed with something. And subconsciously, it's our brain kind of protecting us from doing that task. So if a big project or an exam brings you anxiety and you push it off to the last minute, your brain is telling you, I do not want to feel these feelings. I don't want to feel this anxiety, so I am just not going to do it. So our body instinctively goes into fight or flight. And I know often that seems like for like extreme measures, but it's really not. It's for everyday tasks as well. So your body's trying to protect you from dealing with those emotions that might be associated with that task or that given behavior. So If you find yourself to fall victim to procrastination a lot and you find yourself to be a procrastinator, don't be unkind to yourself about that. There's nothing wrong with dealing with that. Your body, your brain is just trying to help you, and it's hard to kind of combat that if we don't have the necessary tools and resources to figure out how to navigate those feelings. So I highly recommend CAPS, that's Counseling and Psychological Services, that are offered through the university. It's free for students, and they can kind of help provide you tools and resources to navigate that feeling if you feel like you do that a lot. And then one thing I just kind of want to reiterate is that it's okay to procrastinate, and don't be unkind to yourself about that. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your emotions, and let yourself know that it is okay to procrastinate. And there are lots of college students who do it, lots of people who do it in life. So, but we can work towards limiting procrastination by building tools and utilizing resources to help us kind of push through that. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And then some tools for success. So set up a reward system. This is how I personally like to operate, because if I'm studying for an hour, and I really want to go on TikTok or, eat an ice cream cone or something like that, I will reward myself after I'm finished reading a chapter. So I'm going to sit down, read a chapter for an hour, and then I'm going to go get an ice cream, or I'm going to go outside, go for a walk. So that way you start conditioning your brain to have intermittent rewards, and you're going to fall routine to that. So I'm going to keep studying because I'm going to keep rewarding myself. So that's a really good way to kind of get yourself in a habit of studying, is by rewarding yourself. Think about long-term goals. So, just like we had talked about before, we have short-term goals, which lead us to our long-term goals. So it's important to think of where you want to be. What's your long-term goal after you graduate school, or what do you want to do in your occupation, or where do you see yourself in 5 years? And all of those are big, scary questions sometimes, but that's why we set these smaller goals to kind of lead us to those bigger goals, so it doesn't seem as scary. Positives of being productive and proactive. So can some of you, or all of you, I would love for everyone to participate, drop in the chat some positives of being productive and proactive within school, within life, anything. Or you can tell me as well. You'd like to unmute yourself. Less stress. Yes. I feel like everyone agrees with that one. Once you get work done, you can, okay, awesome. So also feeling accomplished, like I'm doing well. What is the biggest distractor to you all? What do you feel like? Friends, phone, my phone, social media, TV? Yeah, so all of those are really common distractors as well. And you can use those distractors, that is a good one, as a positive reward. So if you know these are distractors and you really want to watch your TV show, I can't watch my TV show until I'm finished studying or I'm finished doing this assignment. So it's almost like taking something negative. So a distractor can be negative oftentimes when pertaining to goals or doing well in school, and turn it into a positive. I get to go use my favorite app. I get to go on Instagram if I study, or, if I get an A, I get to have the entire weekend off. So it's using those distractors and kind of catering it to make it a reward. Family, yeah. For me, it's friends. My friends are big distractors, and learning to say no is really important as well. So some negative consequences of not achieving them. So more stress, I feel like we could agree on as well for not achieving goals. But does anyone else have any negative consequences of not achieving goals? Failure? Falling behind in class? Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of those are really, really good ones, and really, I feel like universal as well. I feel like a lot of people feel those feelings throughout their academic career, and as well sometimes just in life when they set life goals. So create a vision board of dreams. Do you all know what a vision board is? You can nod or you can say yes in the chat. Yes, awesome. So I love vision boards. Okay, we have a no. So what you can do is Walmart has these giant boards for like $1. They're usually white, and you can like glue magazine clippings or newspapers to them, and you kind of put what you want to see in your future. So I have a vision board, and I have running on there. I have traveling, different job opportunities, my dream doctoral program school, stuff like that. And it's almost like manifestation. So you're putting into an existence what you would like to see in your future and in your life. So you could always do that. It's a cool little project to do with friends as well. Post messages to yourself by common distractors. If your phone is a distractor, take a sticky note and write, "Do not touch," or "You are not allowed to use me," and stick it on the back of your phone if it's next to you. So that way, if you're tempted to look, there's a little note that says, "Nope, not until you're done." And if, let's say, TV is a distractor, go in a different room. Changing environments is so important for studying as well as achieving those goals. So if it's academic based and you're always in your room, sometimes mixing environments doesn't necessarily work as well for people. So, go to the living room, or maybe go to the kitchen table, or somewhere where you feel safe. I know it's a little bit harder because we are strictly remote, but kind of even just changing it up from going to a different room might help. And then use technologies and apps to prevent you from being off task. So in the chat, or you could tell me, how many of you all know what Pocket Points is? Have you heard of it before? No? Okay, so we have a little bit of a mixture. How many of you all like free food? You can drop that in the chat if you all like free food. Yeah, okay. So we all, especially from Chick-fil-A. So let me tell you about this app. So essentially what happens is it's like a timer for you not being on your phone. Usually when you're in person, and if you're in lecture, you get double the points because it's a university-based app, so it knows if you're in a school building. However, if you're on Zoom University and you don't want to be on your phone, or you want to get those points, you set a timer for the duration of lecture. And then as long as you don't open your phone, you get these points. So the more points you get, you'll get access to discounts. Cold Stone, you can get free Chick-fil-A, free chicken sandwich, free fries. You get Uber Eats discounts. You get discounts to anywhere kind of locally around UCF. So it's a great, yeah, you can have the fries. It's a great reward for you for not being on your phone, and to kind of eliminate that as a distractor. And it knows when you're sleeping too. So you can't set it, it's like based off of a timer. So, it has to be in an appropriate amount of time, as well as when you're studying, you can also use that. So that's a great app to kind of keep you on task. So using long-term goals to achieve short-term goals and vice versa. So just like we had talked about before, a little bit about partializing, we have to set short-term goals to achieve long-term goals, and we use our long-term goal to achieve these short-term goals. So in the chat, can you tell me what are some common long-term goals students have during their college careers? Find a good career, job, graduate. All of these are really good. Okay. And how about for you guys? So this is in general, but if there's any specific long-term goals that you have in school, feel free to share as well. Either a specific internship, or, getting in a research lab in your major. So those can be examples while I get to my career field. Oh, that's awesome, Heather. That's awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. I appreciate that. So in order to do this, we have a grit ladder. So what is grit? Yeah, save the tortoises for sure. So grit stands for guts, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. So what is grit? So that's having the determination and tenacity to persevere and endure to achieve your goals. So these are skills that I feel like doesn't necessarily happen overnight. You gradually work towards, being better at getting the resilience to achieve these things through just life and experiences. I mean, we're all capable of utilizing grit, but sometimes, we really have to push ourselves in order to achieve it. So take your end goal and use it as motivation to achieve your short-term goals, And I think it's important, like I had mentioned before, about being kind to yourself. It's important to give yourself some positive affirmations and, let yourself know that you are capable of achieving absolutely anything that you put your mind to. And sometimes if we get overwhelmed in school, which I remember when I was in undergrad, how overwhelmed I felt, it often made me feel defeated. But you just have to keep reminding yourself to persevere through that and, to keep going, because you will achieve what you want to do, and you will save the tortoises and get a good job and, do whatever you can set your mind to. So let's talk about the grit ladder. So we can use this in everyday life, and you can also take out a paper, you can do a Word document, anything. If you're having trouble figuring out what you need to do to get to a higher goal, just create a grit ladder. So for example, if our long-term goal is to become an engineer, so what's the basic step to becoming an engineer? Well, engineering involves a lot of math, so we're going to have to study math, of course. So then what's next? How do we get good at math? We get good by practicing problem solving. And then when we practice problem solving, we start studying math. Then we have to pass the engineering tests, right? Because we can't get job experience unless we have good grades, we're passing tests. We show that we're doing well in our field. So we pass the engineering test, then what? Then we're able to start applying for jobs. So when we start applying for jobs, we can get that work experience. When you graduate school, they want to see that you've been involved within your major, you have some sort of experience, and then you're able to become an engineer. So this can be applicable to absolutely anything. It can be becoming a psychologist. It can become, being a creative writer. Anything that you would want, you can make a grit ladder out of it. So other tools for success. So tell your friends and family your goals and what you need to do to be successful so they can fully support you and help keep you accountable. Accountability partners, I feel like, are very important within school and within life. If you are held to some expectation by someone that you obviously care about, it's going to push you more to achieve that goal and to want to do it. So it's important to tell them your goals. And with that being said, having a solid support system is very important as well. You want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that want you to be successful and want you to achieve your goals and not bring you down. And if you feel like you don't have a solid support system, then they might not be the best people to have in your life, especially when you do want to achieve these goals and you do want to get to your dream occupation or, do what you want to do in life. Use study groups to help make sure you spend time studying. If you don't want to do group tutoring sessions through SARC and you want to make your own sessions with friends, or if you're not in a STEM field, message some people in your class and say, hey, do you want to do a group session on Zoom? You want to talk about what we learned in lecture? Just so they all can also be used as accountability partners. You have a group project to do, or you have a group study session. Therefore, you are dedicating an hour or two of your time to completing that task. Get involved in things that are related to your academics to energize you and inspire you in your courses and majors. In the chat, how many of you all would like to get an internship within your field, within your undergraduate career? Awesome. Yay. Yeah, so this is an excellent way to, one, learn if, this is the right field for you, and two, to build a schedule and stay busy and, get that work experience. I worked in a research lab in undergraduate career, and I had an internship at a mental health practice. So I was able to kind of stay busy with that, and that really helped me figure out what my goals were, my love for the field, what I necessarily wanted to do, and it can help really specify those long-term goals as well. So I think it's really important to stay involved and utilize the resources that we offer that I'm going to talk a little bit about towards the end of the presentation. just so you guys can kind of write it down if you would like to get some more experience within your field. Self-care, find a balance. This is one of the most important things to me. You can't achieve goals or you can't do well academically if you're tired and not getting enough sleep, or if you're hungry, if you find yourself feeling very overwhelmed and unable to socialize or take time out for yourself. It's so important that we are taking care of ourselves and our bodies, even having time to have a school life balance. And that's very hard to find sometimes. And that's why utilizing resources, even like ACE coaching, is very helpful for kind of helping you find that balance as well, to kind of lay everything out. So self-care is very important, and especially now more than ever, it might be a little bit difficult to put yourself first, but it's very important that you do so. And then also practice self-discipline. If you're waiting to be in the mood to study, you'll probably be waiting for a long time. You just need to make the decision to do what you need to do. This coincides a lot with what I talked about procrastination. So like I said, our brain kind of just takes over, and sometimes we just can't do it. We can't force ourselves to do it. So if we're waiting until our brains are telling us to do it, we will never. So, if you feel the urge, I need to do this, just start it, 5 more minutes and then I'll start, 10 more minutes. You really need to do it in the moment to get yourself going with that. Setting up a time management system to keep you on track. So this is very important. I love having everything broken down into times. So say like 12 to 1 I study, and then I take a break from 1 to 1:15, and then you do your next task. So have a system, check it off whenever you complete it to keep you on track. And then when you're done for the day, you're done for the day. No more school. If you completed everything that you needed, you're able to kind of focus on you and do a little bit of that self-care. Utilizing the plethora of resources UCF offers to you for free as a student. I know I keep plugging them in, but again, we have SARC tutoring, we have SI, ACE coaching, OIPC, we have these workshops, we have CAPS, and I'm going to go a little bit more in detail with everything in a little bit, but these resources are all free for you all. So please make sure that you're utilizing them and using them during your experience here. And then a combination of any options listed. So if you're able to kind of take all the things that we just discussed and apply it to your everyday life, then that's great. But if that's a little overwhelming for you and you kind of just want to start with self-care, you want to start with time management or building a schedule, that's completely okay and awesome as well. Progress is not linear, right? And that's important to tell yourselves, is that it's not always measurable with how well you're doing with things. If just because you don't complete maybe a short-term goal doesn't mean you should throw that away. It means that you didn't necessarily have a good day and tomorrow will be a better one. So just remember that, be kind to yourself. Progress isn't linear, and just keep pushing forward if it does get a little bit difficult for you. So some guiding principles: keep track of your goals, write it down, journal, write it in your calendar. Share with someone. If you accomplish a goal that you're really proud of, call a friend, tell a family member, like, hey, listen to what I just did. I'm so proud of it. Because it's important to share your accomplishments, and your accomplishments are valid. So just remember that. Break down the steps to achieve your goals. You can use the grit ladder, the worksheet that I provided for you all. You could use that at any point in time. To kind of break down those steps into how you're going to achieve those goals. Even writing the SMART acronym out, and then next to it, you can write, how is this going to be specific, and then type it out in a Word document, just so you guys have a layout and you're able to look at it. Assess your goals periodically. So this is important too, to kind of keep yourself in check and in line. If this is still a goal that you want to complete, how are you adhering to your timeline that you have given yourself? If you have 2 days left to achieve this goal and you need another 5 days, does that mean to scrap the goal completely, or are you going to extend it for yourself? And I would always recommend extending it for yourself, because like I said, progress isn't linear. So it's okay to give you some extra time to work on something if you had a few bad days. Be wary of your obstacles to your goals. So this is important too. Sometimes life happens and that's completely okay. If you want to be involved in a club at UCF and one of the days conflicts with your class time, but you're able to go to the club 3 days a week, is that an obstacle of your goal, your class to be involved? So what are the compromises you're going to make? What are you going to are you going to go to 2 days instead of 3? How are you going to achieve that? And just be wary of, I might not be able to be there all the time because academics take precedence. Follow through and achieve success. So make sure that you follow through with your goals. Sometimes it can be overwhelming and it can be scary. However, once you follow through with it, I guarantee you're going to be very happy that you did, and you're going to feel very proud of yourself for doing so. And then my favorite, reward yourself for achieving your goals. By the end of the week, you did well on your exams, go to Twisty Treat. Obviously, if you guys can't tell, I'm a big ice cream person. So treat yourself with anything that makes you happy for achieving your goals, because you deserve it and you put in the work. So struggling to stick with it, develop a UCF support team. So the first person I would like to discuss would be professors. And I know I talked a little bit about how scary that can be. However, professors love when students reach out. They may seem scary, and they may seem like these very professional people, but my advisor, who was a professor, wore Spider-Man t-shirts and flip-flops to school, to UCF every day, and he was a supervisor in the department. He was just so chill, and he loved helping people out and really guiding them. So don't be afraid to kind of reach out to them or visit them during their virtual office hours, because you'll be surprised at how many people don't and how much they appreciate that. Also, getting connected with your professor helps you build connections in general, building rapport, getting a solid letter of recommendation, working in a research lab. They can refer you to different internships. So they're very important people to kind of, build these connections with and have them know your name and get familiar with you. Academic advisors. A lot of academic advisors are students as well within your field, which I think is perfect because they're able to relate to you. So, if you go in for an advising appointment in the psych building, you'll have seniors that are there that can say, hey, I had these classes this semester. It was a little bit more difficult. I recommend doing this, doing that. They're there to kind of help set you up for success. We have the Office of Student Financial Assistance. If you ever find finances or you have questions or concerns about financial aid, they are lovely. They're there to help you. They've been emailing back. I've reached out to them since we went remote, and they email back within a few days. So they're awesome service. And then we have Career Services. Career Services is awesome with linking you to internships, resume reviews. If you feel like you're wondering if your resume is strong or not, they will review it for you. They'll provide feedback. They were doing mock interviews in person. I don't necessarily know how they're doing that in the virtual environment, but they have a lot of awesome resources at Career Services to help you. And then we have CAPS, of course. They are doing telehealth right now, so they are still open and available for you all to schedule appointments. And then we have SARC. So we've talked about those resources a lot. We are here. We are always able to help and assist you. UCF Cares, they're also awesome, as well as Victim Services. So if you're concerned about a certain situation, you need guidance, or you're concerned about a friend, you can always contact them and fill out a report. We have the UCF website that also helps you navigate questions about financial aid, the resources that we have to offer here at the university, policies, COVID updates, etc. And then friends, roommates, study buddies, and family. So like I had mentioned before, that support system is awesome, and just make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are there to uplift you and encourage you within your goals. And then we have my favorite quote that I say all the time, and I love to remind people, is that there is no growth without discomfort. So if it does not challenge you, it will not change you, and you have to keep pushing forward even if that goal makes you uncomfortable. If we do things in life that make us uncomfy, of course, good choices and good goals, we're growing as a person, you know, even, you know, raising your hand and asking that question that you normally would not do. You know, you're enhancing personal skills, you know, every single day when you do stuff like that. So just remember that sometimes you have to embrace the discomfort and just keep pushing forward because you are growing and learning from that experience. And then now that you know how to set the goals and achieve them, go ahead and do them. Charge on, you know. Take that time even today after the workshop if you would like to finish filling out that sheet if you did not, and achieve those goals. If you have questions about SARC services, just let me know. My name is Faith, and then my email was included at the beginning of the slide, but I can put it in the chat as well. And just, you know, do your best, because your best is good enough. So just to remind you all that there is the evaluation survey that was just included in the chat. If you could please fill that out, that would be great. And then once you are done, you should be free to go. My email is up on the screen. And then again, just let me know if you have any questions or concerns in the meantime.